Hello and welcome to the latest episode of The Insider, a show designed to clue you into the biggest news, events and announcements inside the video games industry, discussing with you some things you may know, some things you may not, and the glue that holds it all together is a little bit of my own opinion. My name is Paul James, thank you very much for watching, and let's kick off another episode. So, D23 is an expo that just occurred in America this past week. It's Disney Expo, where basically they show off a range of different trailers from upcoming films. They talk about some comics, video games, and a range of other Disney-related media. So of course you're going to get to see a range of big things like Star Wars Episode 8. We saw footage from the live-action Lion King. We got some stuff about Aladdin. But the main thing, for the sake of this particular recording, is the games. And at D23 we saw a range of footage from Kingdom Hearts 3, Star Wars Battlefront 2, and the upcoming Marvel Spider-Man game. And in this week's episode, we're here to break down some of the things we've learnt from those showings. So the first 2 points of today relate to Star Wars Battlefront 2 and what we learnt from that at D23 this year. At this year's convention, we learned a hell of a lot about the story of Star Wars Battlefront 2, specifically about Iden Versio, our hero in this particular case, or anti-hero, we're not too sure yet. Basically, she is the commander of Inferno Ops. Basically, that is the Empire's Black Ops unit, essentially. And she finds herself with the Ewoks in battle when Death Star 2 explodes, when the Emperor dies, and this throws everything into chaos. Are the Empire the minority now? Have they won? What's going on? No one knows anything at this particular point. So a lot of important decisions need to be made quickly that will then have a massive impact on what is to come. This game explores those choices, the internal conflicts that she's going through, and fleshes those out on screen for us all to enjoy. So Iden herself has been in the military life since she was a child. This throws up a lot of personal questions that she must ask herself when the events play out. There's important factors that take place, like her father, Garrick, who's an admiral of the Empire. And there's a range of other factors here that make the decisions she makes all the more important and all the more critical for her as a person and the future of the Empire. It's going to be really interesting to get this perspective because we're so used to having consumed or watched or played as the hero. This is going to be a far cry from that. It's going to be really, really interesting.
Your next assignments, they are unusual.
So, with those 2 points about Star Wars out of the way, let's move on to Spider-Man. So, we only really learnt one thing about Spider-Man at D23 this year, but it's one of the key pillars that the game is leaning upon, and that is the concept of duality. So we understand that Spider-Man is Peter Parker, and we've known this through countless films and comic books and different adaptations of the series in the past. So we've kind of learnt that the life that Peter must lead that allows him to then lead the life of Spider-Man in the meantime. Well, this Spider-Man is 23 years old, so he's been Spider-Man himself for 8 years already. He's learned his craft, he's mastered his craft. Does mean that opponents have kind of learnt that as well. But Peter's mostly nailed that sort of day-to-day aspect of his life. So we're seeing Martin Lee cross Mr. Negative, kind of go through this same chaotic transition where he's juggling those two lives, and it's going to cause a really interesting dynamic there. It seems to be a pillar that the game is really leaning heavily upon, this management of both lives, and it's going to be really interesting to see how it plays out as the game releases next year. My final 2 points for today relate to the details that have come out from Kingdom Hearts 3. So the first Kingdom Hearts 3 point that we're going to get to today is actually about the setting. So we've seen Sora, Goofy, Donald and co. having travelled to the worlds of Tarzan, we've seen Sleeping Beauty, Aladdin, we've seen a bunch of others. What was really interesting to come out of this one is the fact that we're now visiting the world of Toy Story. So through a cutscene, we see time with Buzz, with Woody, with a whole bunch of the others from the Toy Story films, and that's a new place that we're going to be visiting in this game. We saw some new combat, so that included time in a mech, or toy mech of sorts, and a lot more of the stock standard combat. It was really interesting, the world looked fantastic, it looked very Pixar-esque in quality, not just setting, and it was really impressive to see.
君たち新しいおもちゃなのか？おもちゃ？
But the biggest point to come out about Kingdom Hearts 3 at D23 2017 was the fact that the game now has a release window. Not a date, but a window. Kingdom Hearts 3 has been in gestation for getting close to a decade. That's been a long time for people to wait. Well, now it seems like, according to Square Enix, that wait is almost over. They've set a 2018 release window for the game. I would not be at all surprised if they don't hit that, so please don't get your hopes up. If I was a betting man, I'd say you'll see it in 2019. But it does indicate to anyone who's a fan of that game that they are now in the back end of production. And that's a promising sign for people who've waited so long for this game. So those are my 5 observations from D23 2017. What are you most excited for? Please sound off down in the comments below there talking about one of those 3 games. Tell us what you're looking forward to. Maybe all 3 of those games are something you're really anticipating. Let me know down here though. The Insider is one show that's available at player2.net.au, but it's not the only one. Please make sure to like, share and subscribe to the channel, again, down below, where you can catch up with weekly episodes of The Insider, but as well as episodes of Patched, The Video Games Club, and weekly episodes of Player 2 Plays, hosted by Matt or Ken. It's a fantastic place to go. Player2.net.au is where you can catch up with all the awesome written content, specifically this month where we're having JRPG July. It's a month dedicated to the JRPG genre, and there's a bunch of awesome written content there from some of Australia's best writers, as well as our regular reviews, previews, opinion features, and a range of other items that you can find only at the site. Make sure to hit up Player2AU on Twitter, myself, Paul James P2 on Twitter, for just regular commentary, as well as links to any of those pieces. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you later.
You